Well, g'day guys. Welcome back to Phil and Jen in the Philippines. Just a very quick vlog. Before we start, subscribe, thumbs up, notification bells, share with some people if this might be of some assistance. The reason I'm doing this second vlog for the day, it'll be a short one. I did promise some subscribers that I'd do a vlog on it, and the reason I didn't do it previously in purchasing land in the Philippines is because it's long and involved. And the subject is leasing land in the Philippines. To answer my subscribers that inquired in regard to leases, yes, you can lease land in the Philippines, leasing as we know it. When I say we know it, we in the West, where you choose a portion of land or a premises or whatever, and you go into a pre-arranged period of time at a pre-arranged price. So those leases, as we understand them, are available in the Philippines. Having said that, in regard to leases, the reason I didn't go into it is because the how widespread particular leases are and how complicated or convoluted the process is. If you go back to my original vlog in regarding purchasing land in the Philippines, to be on the safe side, you really have to undergo the exact same checks in relation to the land or the housing or the factory or whatever that you're about to lease or intend leasing. You have to do the checks simply because it's a lease, and especially on rural land and land in the provinces, those checks still have to take place. The unfortunate thing is there are a lot of unscrupulous land dealers in the Philippines, so you've got to protect yourself. The other thing is too, because of, as I said, conjugal land, and land is the root of all evil in this country. If there's going to be a fight within family members, it's going 9 times out of 10, or a large percentage of the time, it's going to be over land. And you don't know the backstory and why it's being leased and whatever, and you can go through this process and you can fork out money. And I'll talk about structure of leases in a little while, but you can be caught exactly the same way as a purchase, so be very, very careful. Again, the golden rules: get a good lawyer involved in any form of lease. Yes, you can lease corporately, which is probably the safest way, where you have a body corporate or a corporation set up, or you go through a bank, because banks will also do due diligence on your behalf. But you've got to be very, very careful, assuming that you've gone through and the land, the dwelling, the factory, the whatever is coming up trumps and it's still looking good, and you wish to go into a lease. We then open a lease. There's no standardized leasing format in this country. Of course, there's a template that lawyers use in regard to leases, as every country does, but they can vary in such a wide range as to that particular property, from payment, how it's to be made, whether it be on a monthly, yearly, or a one-off payment situation, whether that payment can be incremented. There is just so much involved in leases. It's very simple to turn around. So I'm leasing the premises. Here's my lease. I happened to lease it 10 years ago for a 30 or a 90-year period, or whatever the period, and that's another thing. Periods, time periods are another thing. And even though someone has signed up, they do have recourse to the courts here, where they turn around and say, listen, 10 years has gone by. We think because this has happened and that's happened, we should get more, even though it's not in the original contract for the leasing of that land. I'm not saying that they'll win, but again, we get caught up in this very, very complicated system, legal system in the Philippines, and that's something you want to avoid. If you can avoid going to court here or being involved in any litigation in this country, do it like the plague. You're already behind the 8 ball because you are a foreigner. So remember that. Even though people out there say, no, we treat foreigners equally and whatever, we all know that if you're in a foreign country, certain prejudices arise. And if you require a single person to make a decision on your behalf, you don't know the psychology of that person. You don't know if he's pro-expat, anti-expat. He doesn't like the way you part your hair, or he doesn't like beards on guys. Or there's so many reasons when it's left up to one person, and they have sweeping powers in this country. One could say that they make it up as they go along. They manipulate the law to suit that ruling. And the old thing is with all courts, once a judge makes up his mind, whether it be the letter of the law or his interpretation, it then becomes case law, and case law can be drawn on in other cases. To get case law, you've got to have a precedent, and you just might be that precedent. So avoid that. As I said, duration of leases is a big thing. The amount you actually pay, the way you pay it. So in essence, it's the deal. You're not familiar with that, so being new to the country, you're not, and most of the people around you, your friends, your acquaintances, your families and whatever, will not be adequately educated as to the intricacies involved in a lease. If you can get a lease right in this country, it's a fabulous way to obtain property at a set period over a set period of time, for a set period over a set period of time, at a reasonable rate of money, and of course at the end of that lease, very few that I've seen here, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, have options. Options meaning that it's automatically written into the lease. You will have an ability to extend that lease on renegotiated points. The leases don't tend to have options here, especially in rural areas. It's a set period of time, and at the end of the lease you totally renegotiate. But if the vendor does not wish to negotiate and he wishes to lease it to somebody else, you're out of the picture, and that's all there is to it. So if you're unfamiliar with leases in your home country, and any solicitor, any lawyer will tell you that it's fraught with danger, leases, unless they're done 100% correctly. The other thing is too, that you've got to understand, I touched on it briefly with the other video, is agreements such as this, for whatever reason, seem to become very complicated, and this is where leases are. If you think you have a property for 10 or 15 years at a particular price, and say for instance the original vendor passes away and the family take control of that property, even though by the letter of the law they should maintain and honour the principles of that particular lease, you open yourself up again to litigation, and it's not a good thing. The problem is that the majority of people over here think they know what they can do. They bluff a lot. They have the mentality to a certain degree, if enough people agree with them, that the outcome will be favourable to them. And if you're in a rural environment and you run into a situation where you have an argument for whatever reason, or a dispute over land, it's the easiest way to make sure that you are no longer welcome in that area, especially. So you can win the battle and you can lose the war. So be very aware of that. I haven't gone too technical. All I'm saying is, yes, you can lease. Do your due diligence, get a good lawyer, make sure the structure is right, fair and equitable on both parties. Be aware that lease may, or that agreement, depending, and this is the other thing too, unless you get a good lawyer, there's a difference here between agreements and leases. Make sure the leases are registered with a body, such as the land office or whatever, that your solicitor holds a copy on your behalf, because who's to know that the person that is leasing it to you, he may not pass away, but unfortunately you may, and then you're going to leave, if it's a residential property, your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance and her family in diabolical trouble by not doing it right in the first place. So that's about all I'm qualified to say to you, and that's all I really want to say. Err on the side of caution. Leases are available, and that's about it. So again, subscribe, ring the bell and notifications, thumbs up. Oh, just you'll probably turn off before now, but I'm going to tell you, I must be doing something okay, because I've got my first couple of official trolls, and the beauty about YouTube is that you can actually trace back to see who's disliking you or whatever, and there's one or two in particular that seem to take great joy in a minute or two after, or a few minutes after I post a video, putting the dislike button on. And it's ridiculous because I know they haven't had time to go through the video. But anyway, just a message to them, and they know who they are. I don't care. I'm not monetized, so whether you like it or not, you're not doing me, any damage by disliking it. So you might as well either give it up or go somewhere else. Go and troll somebody else. Okay, guys. I'll let the plonker sit in the lounge chair, and God knows where he is in the dark, and think how horrible I am. But you other guys that enjoy my videos, please, again, thumbs up. Just for my own ego's sake, I'd like to see the thumbs up. And we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers for now.